I never thought I'd be writing something like this, especially not about my own life, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been married to Lisa for about 5 years now. We met during the colonization project on Mars. She's an engineer specializing in artificial gravity generation, which sounds fancy but really just means she designs and calibrates those huge rotating chambers that simulate gravity for the space habitats. Our relationship started off great, or so I thought. We moved together, had a little house on the city's outer ring, and life seemed pretty solid. But lately, things have been off. At first, I just put it down to stress. She's been working crazy hours, always busy with her project, always in the lab, always on the phone. She's bitchy sometimes, snapping at me over small stuff, and her excuses for being distant were always the same. "I'm busy, Mike, I don't have time," or "it's just work." She'd say she was tired, she'd say she was stressed, and I'd try to be understanding. But deep down, I started noticing little things that didn't add up. She'd come home late, smelling different, like she'd been somewhere else, not just the lab. Her phone was always locked and she'd get defensive if I asked to see it. I found receipts in her wallet for sexy lingerie online, which she swore she never bought. Small things, yeah, but enough to make me suspicious. I even caught her lying once about a dinner with her colleagues, and later I found out she'd actually gone to a bar with some guy from her work, a guy I'd never seen her talk about before. It was strange. My gut was telling me something was wrong, but I didn't want to believe it. Then out of nowhere, I found her in the garage one night, hurriedly trying to hide something in a box. I saw her panicked face and a strange glint in her eyes. When I asked what she was doing, she brushed it off with that bitchy smirk she's been throwing around lately. "Nothing, Mike. Just cleaning up." I pressed her, but she refused to show me what it was. That was the moment I started digging deeper. I couldn't shake the feeling that Lisa was hiding something, and whatever it wasn't good. One night I decided to check her emails. I know, I shouldn't have gone snooping, but I couldn't stand it anymore. I knew I'd find something, and I did. There was an email chain with some guy named Jeff talking about meeting up later tonight and calibrating the centrifugal force, whatever the hell that means. It was all coded, but I understood enough to know they were talking about her work and maybe more. The part that hit me hardest, the tone, flirty, teasing, and suggestive. That's when it clicked. She was cheating, and it was with some engineer from her project, probably Jeff. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there in the dark, staring at the email chain, feeling sick. The betrayal cut so deep because I trusted her. We built our lives on honesty. At least I thought we did. And now I find out she's been sneaking around behind my back, probably screwing some guy while I was at work, thinking I didn't have a clue. It's not just about the cheating. It's about how she lied so easily, how she's been playing me the whole time. I felt angry, hurt, and confused all at once. How could she do this? Why? The next day I knew I couldn't just pretend everything was fine anymore. I had to confront her. But I also knew that would be a disaster waiting to happen. Still, I couldn't keep pretending. I needed to hear her explain herself, even if I already had a pretty good idea of what that explanation would be. I took a deep breath, called her home, and when she answered, I told her I wanted to talk seriously. She sounded annoyed and dismissive, but I didn't care. I was done holding back. I didn't say much at first, just enough to set the tone. I told her I knew everything, about the emails, the late nights, the lies, her reaction. She told me I was paranoid, that I was imagining things, that Jeff was just a friend helping her calibrate the artificial gravity chamber. I stared at her, trying to process what she was saying. Her voice was cold, dismissive of my feelings. "Oh, come on, Mike. You're overreacting. Jeff's just some guy who helps out when she needs him, nothing more." That's when I lost it. How could she sit there and lie so blatantly? How could she be so dismissive of what I was feeling? I told her I saw through her bullshit, that I knew she was sleeping with Jeff, that I knew she'd been lying for weeks. Her face twisted into a sneer, and she told me I was crazy, that I was jealous, and that I was just insecure. That's her favorite line, "You're just insecure." And I guess she's right. I was insecure because she'd been lying to me, pretending everything was perfect while she was screwing someone else. That was a turning point. I felt a cold fury inside me. I didn't want to just walk away, not without some kind of payback. If she thought she could cheat on me and get away with it, she was dead wrong. I decided then and there I'd make sure she paid for this, make her regret ever crossing me. She's always been a bitchy, spoiled brat who thinks she's better than everyone else. Now she'd see what happens when she fucks with someone who's had enough. The plan started forming in my mind, and I knew I wouldn't rest until she understood the consequences of her betrayal. After that confrontation, I couldn't sleep. Her words kept echoing in my head, her denial, her dismissiveness, that sneer she threw at me like she was above all this. I felt humiliated, furious, and strangely numb at the same time. I knew I had to do something, but I wasn't sure what. Part of me wanted to scream, to cry, to break something. But another part, I guess the part I didn't know I had, wanted revenge. Not just a shouting match or a messy breakup. I needed her to feel what I felt, to see that messing with someone's life isn't a game. So I started planning. I examined her habits, her routines, the places she went, and her contacts. I knew her. She was competitive, bitchy, and manipulative. She loved to lie, to twist things around, and to make herself look good even when she was the one cheating. That's why I decided I needed a plan that would shake her, something she wouldn't see coming, something that would hit her where it hurt. First thing I did was find out where Jeff worked. I dug through her emails, got his full name, and did some research online. Turns out, he's an engineer like her, works specifically on the artificial gravity modules. That made sense. Their calibrations in the rotating chambers weren't just technical, they were intimate, secret meetings. I also found out Jeff had a reputation for being a bit of a player, always chasing after young engineers and acting like a hero with women. That gave me some hope that I could use that against him. Then I started looking into their work schedules. Jeff's lab was in the same facility as Lisa's, which explained their frequent late-night rendezvous. I also knew that Lisa loved to flaunt her position, always talking about how important her work was and how she was saving humanity. But she was also petty and bitchy when things didn't go her way. I knew she'd get defensive if I called her out directly, so I had to be smarter. I remembered a conversation she had once mentioned about a special calibration she was supposed to do in the chamber, one that required her to work late. I decided that I'd make use of that. I bought a cheap drone with a camera, something that could silently record her activities. I set it up to record her coming and going from the lab, especially when she went to meet Jeff. I knew she'd lie, she always did, but I wanted proof. I also rigged a small GPS tracker to her keys so I'd know exactly where she was when she was out. All of this took a few days, but I was determined. I knew Lisa's ego was fragile. She'd never admit she was wrong or caught, but she hated being exposed. I also figured out her favorite spots to meet Jeff, some old warehouse on the outskirts of the city where no one would bother them. It was perfect. I'd have all the evidence I needed and I'd be ready to confront her with it. In the meantime, I started keeping my distance. I kept my cool, pretended everything was normal, but inside I was boiling. My mind raced with plans of what to do once I had everything. I knew I couldn't just walk away. This wasn't just about her cheating. It was about how she'd lied to me so effortlessly, how she'd played me like a fool. I wanted her to feel the weight of what she'd done, to see her face when she realized I knew everything. That's what would make her regret it, if she knew I had the upper hand. One night I followed the drone's footage and what I saw made my blood boil. Lisa sneaking out, meeting Jeff in that warehouse, their bodies close, whispering, touching. The camera caught enough to see her lips on his neck, her hands on his chest. I saw her climbing into his car afterward. I felt like I'd been punched again, but this time it was different. It was real. She'd been screwing him, probably for weeks, and lying to my face every damn time. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind, so trusting. How could she do this to me? I knew I had to act fast. I had everything I needed, and I was ready to confront her again, this time with proof. I decided I'd wait until the next day when she was scheduled to be in the lab late. I'd go there, surprise her, and give her a taste of what betrayal really looks like. I wanted her to know I wasn't some naive fool anymore. I was done being a pawn in her game. I wanted her to understand that. She'd crossed a line and she'd have to deal with the fallout. That night I sat there staring at the footage, feeling a strange mixture of relief and anger. I was finally seeing clearly. My wife, the woman I'd loved, was nothing more than a manipulative, selfish bitch who thought she could have her cake and eat it too. But I was done playing nice. I was going to show her that underestimating me was her biggest mistake. She always thought she was clever, that she could lie her way out of anything, but I had her now. And I wasn't going to let her walk away with just a slap on the wrist. Not this time. The next morning I woke up and felt a strange calm mixed with my usual rage. I knew exactly what I had to do. I waited until the lab was quiet, most of her colleagues gone for the day, and then I made my move. I took the evidence, video footage, GPS logs, the receipts I'd found, and printed the most incriminating parts. I needed her to see I wasn't bluffing, that I had everything. I also arranged for some of her personal belongings and the appropriate keys to be in my car. I wanted her to have no illusions. If she thought she could brush me off or deny it again, she was dead wrong. I drove to her work in silence, my heart pounding. I parked just outside the facility, got out quietly, and slipped inside. I went straight to her lab, where I knew she'd still be working late. The door was unlocked. I guess she still thought she was safe. When I stepped in, she looked up, her face a mask of annoyance, probably expecting some excuse or a fight. Instead, I pulled out my phone and played the footage. Her eyes widened, then narrowed in anger. "Look at this," I said, voice cold but steady. "Look at what you've been doing behind my back. This is Jeff, your little lover. I've got proof of everything, Lisa. You lied to me, cheated on me, and thought you could get away with it." Her face went beet red, but she quickly recovered her bitchy smirk. "Oh, please, Mike, that's just some stupid footage. You're overreacting like always. Jeff's just helping me with some calibration stuff. It's work, nothing more." I shook my head. "No, it's not. This isn't just work, Lisa. This is you cheating, sneaking around after I trusted you. I followed you, I saw where you went, I tracked your keys. I know how long this has been going on. How many nights you've been with him in that warehouse, in that damn rotating chamber, getting off on calibrating your stupid artificial gravity, huh? You've been lying to my face for weeks." She scoffed, crossed her arms, and looked at me with that same bitchy sneer. "Jeff's a professional. He's been helping me with the centrifugal force calibration, nothing more. You're making this into some soap opera, Mike. Get over yourself." I couldn't take it anymore. I stepped closer, voice trembling with rage. "You really think I don't see what you're doing? You think you can lie to everyone, lie to me, and think it's all okay? Well, I've had enough. You want to cheat, fine, but you're not just gonna walk away from this. You've played me for a fool, and I'm here to tell you I'm done. We're done." Her eyes flashed with anger, but I saw the crack in her armor. She didn't expect me to have this much evidence to confront her so directly. Her bitchy mask slipped for a moment, revealing the panic underneath. That's when I knew I had her cornered. I pulled out the receipts I'd printed, screenshots of the emails, the times she'd been sneaking out, her flirty messages with Jeff. I placed them on the table between us. "You lied to me about everything. Your little excuses, your bullshit about work, about helping him calibrate the chambers. You're disgusting, Lisa. I trusted you, and you threw it all away for some quick sex with a guy who probably doesn't even give a damn about you. Well, I hope you're happy with your little affair, because I'm not sticking around to be your fool anymore." Her face twisted into a glare, but she said nothing for a long moment. Then she spat. "You don't know what you're talking about. You're just jealous because I'm better than you. Jeff's actually got real talent, he's a genius, and you're just some guy who's been wasting his life fixing machinery." That was the last straw. I felt a surge of anger I couldn't contain. I told her she could keep her genius, Jeff, and that I didn't want to see her again. That I was taking everything, including the furniture, the house, and her precious project, and leaving. I told her I'd make sure the truth came out, and everyone would know what kind of person she really was. That day, I walked out of her lab, my heart pounding, knowing I'd done everything I could to confront her and make her see the reality she tried so hard to hide. That night, I went home alone, the house suddenly feeling colder and emptier than ever. I sat there staring at the empty space where she used to be, feeling the weight of betrayal crushing me. The worst part, the feeling that I'd been so blind, so trusting, and now I was left with a broken heart and a hell of a mess to clean up. I kept replaying everything in my head, her sneers, her lies, the way she'd looked when I confronted her. That bitchy smirk she threw at me, trying to dismiss everything like I was some jealous idiot. I realized I'd been a fool for so long thinking she loved me, that she was loyal. Turns out she was. Just another manipulative woman who thought she could have her cake and eat it too. And now I was left standing here, wondering how I let it get this far. How I let her tear me down and get away with it. All I know is I'm not going to be that guy anymore. I'm done being the victim. Next step, I'll make her regret it somehow. I just don't know how yet. But I swear, she's going to wish she never crossed me. The days that followed were a blur of anger, betrayal, and cold planning. I thought I'd feel relief once I confronted her, but honestly, the worst part was knowing she had lied to me for so long, that she'd taken everything we built and thrown it away for some stupid affair. Every time I looked at her office emails, her texts, the footage I had of her sneaking around, I felt this dark satisfaction brewing inside me, mixed with a deep sense of loss. I had lost my wife, maybe forever, and the pain was surprisingly sharp. I knew she'd try to spin it, deny everything, maybe even turn the tables and accuse me of stalking. Or paranoia. That's why I prepared myself. I kept the evidence close. I didn't want her to manipulate her way out. I also knew that I needed leverage, something to make her see I wasn't bluffing. I started thinking about her ego. She's always been a bitchy, manipulative woman used to getting her way. I had to hit her where it hurt the most, her pride. So I started making calls, digging into her work connections, trying to find out if she'd been hiding anything else. I found out Jeff was not just some guy from the lab, but actually a well-known engineer in the Space Habitat Project, someone with influence and connections. The thought of her using her job to cheat on me with someone like him made me sick. I knew I had to do something that would make her realize I wasn't just some pushover. I wanted her to see that I could ruin her reputation, break her pride, and make her pay. I reached out to a few of her colleagues, pretending to be interested in her work and subtly dropping hints about her recent behavior. I told them I'd come clean if they didn't help me figure out what was really going on. To my surprise, some of them were more interested than I expected. They'd noticed her secret meetings, her late nights, her flirty messages. Seems like I wasn't alone in feeling she was hiding things. That gave me a bit of ammunition. Meanwhile, I kept working on the revenge plan. I knew Jeff's reputation was a fragile thing. A lot of women in the field saw him as a cocky, self-absorbed genius, and I figured I could use that. I found out he liked to show off, to brag about his achievements, and I decided to call him out directly. I crafted a fake email, pretending to be a jealous coworker who'd heard about his affair with Lisa. I sent it to him, hinting that I knew everything and warning him that if he kept messing around, the truth would come out and ruin both their careers. That night, I waited anxiously for his reply. When I got it, it was exactly what I wanted. He was defensive, trying to deny everything, but I could tell he was shaken. I also sent some anonymous tips to the company's HR department, including the footage and the evidence I had collected. I knew they'd look into it. That was the point. I wanted their eyes on her, making her feel exposed and vulnerable. One day, I caught her trying to call Jeff from her office. I slipped into her workspace quietly, saw her clutching her phone, nervously trying to hide it. I sat there, silent, watching her squirm. I knew she was trying to cover her tracks, maybe even thinking she could talk her way out of it. That's when I decided it was time to end this, not just with words but with a decisive action. I told her I had everything she'd ever lied about, proof that she'd been screwing around, lying, manipulating. I told her she wasn't going to walk away this time, that I was done playing nice. Her face turned horrified, then furious. She yelled, called me paranoid, accused me of stalking her, but I didn't flinch. I pulled out my phone, played the video of her in the warehouse, her lips on Jeff's neck, her hands on him. I told her I was done with her excuses, that her cheating was over, and that I was going to make sure everyone knew what kind of woman she truly was. I saw her trying to deny it, but she was caught and she knew it. I didn't want to hurt her physically, but I wanted her to understand that her lies had consequences. I wanted her to feel small, exposed, and powerless, just like I had felt when I first discovered her affair. I told her I was leaving not just her but everything. The house, the project, all of it. I was done being her fool. I wanted her to see that her actions had consequences, that she couldn't keep manipulating and cheating without paying a price. That day, I took what I could, some clothes, the evidence, and my pride, and walked out of that lab for good. I didn't say much as I left, just that I'd make sure everyone knew what she was really like. I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. I'd finally done something I should have done months ago. Still, I knew I'd be haunted by what she did for a long time. I trusted her, I gave her everything, and she threw it all away for a quick fling with a guy who probably thought he was a genius too. Now, I sit here reflecting on everything, wondering how I ever let it get this far. I learned a hard lesson about trust, about who people really are when no one's watching. I'll never trust her again, and I'll never be that naive guy who thought love could conquer everything. Some women are just manipulative, bitchy, and selfish, and I got played for a fool. My advice: watch out for the signs and never ignore the gut feeling that something's wrong. Because in the end, the truth always comes out, sometimes, in a way you really don't want to face. The aftermath hit me hard, but not in the way I expected. I thought I'd feel relief, maybe even freedom, but instead, there was this immense emptiness. I guess I'd been so blindsided by her betrayal that I hadn't really prepared myself for what came after. Leaving everything behind, walking out of that house, knowing she was probably back in that lab, still pretending nothing was wrong, all of it weighed on me more than I thought it would. I filed for divorce that week. It wasn't easy, especially because part of me still wanted her to acknowledge what she did, too. Admit she was wrong, but she never did. She just played the victim, accused me of being paranoid and controlling. Typical. I knew she'd spin it that way because that's who she is. A manipulative, bitchy woman who always thinks she's better than everyone else. That's why I didn't bother trying to argue much. I had my proof, and I knew she'd keep lying anyway. I also reached out to some of her colleagues, the ones I had subtle conversations with, and told them everything I knew. I didn't want to cause chaos, but I wanted people to see her for what she truly was. Some of them were shocked, others just nodded. They'd been suspicious too. I even leaked the footage to a couple of industry contacts, just enough to make her reputation take a hit. Not that she cared about her reputation, but I knew it'd sting her if everyone saw her for the lying, cheating bitch she really was. That's what I wanted, to make her feel exposed, vulnerable, like she'd lost her grip on everything she held dear. And she did. I saw her try to maintain her bitchy attitude, still acting superior, still lying about everything. But I knew the truth was out there now. The company started questioning her, and her project was temporarily put on hold while HR investigated. She threw fits, yelled at everyone, tried to deny everything, but the evidence was overwhelming. I think she finally realized I wasn't just some fool she could manipulate anymore. That's when I saw cracks in her armor, the desperation hiding behind that bitchy smirk. Honestly, I felt kind of empty but also kind of free. It was a weird mix. I'd spent so long trying to ignore the signs, trying to pretend she wasn't cheating, that I'd missed the warning signs. Now that I'd uncovered everything, I couldn't unsee it. I'd been played big time, but I also felt like I'd reclaimed some part of myself. For once, I didn't feel like the fool she'd made me out to be. I'd done what I needed to do, even if it hurt. I moved out of the house, got a small apartment nearby, and started trying to rebuild my life. It's not easy, not by a long shot. There are days I feel angry all over again, days I wonder if I could have done something different. But mostly, I just try to focus on moving forward. I know I'll never forget what she did, but I also realize I've learned a lot about trust, about who to listen to, about myself. I was naive to think she was the woman I loved. Turns out she was just another manipulative bitch hiding behind a pretty face and a high-paying job. If I could give anyone advice from all this, it's this: don't ignore the signs. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. Don't justify their lies, don't make excuses. Because when the truth finally comes out, and it always does, you'll either be ready to face it or be blindsided forever. And trust me, the betrayal cuts deeper than you think. You think you're strong enough to handle it, but you're not. Not at first. You have to go through the pain, the anger, the heartbreak until you find your own way out. I don't regret exposing her, even if it's cost me everything. because at the very least I got my dignity back. And someday I'll meet someone who's worth trusting, who won't lie and cheat behind my back. Until then, I have to live with what's left, learn to rebuild, and remind myself that I deserve better than a cheating, manipulative bitch like her. It's a harsh lesson, but one I'll never forget. And I hope anyone reading this realizes that sometimes the only way to reclaim yourself is to confront the darkness head-on, no matter how much it hurts. Now, looking back, I realize I've changed quite a bit, more cautious, more guarded. The trust I used to have in people is pretty much gone. It's not that I don't want to believe in love anymore, but I've learned that some people are just better at pretending than others. Lisa was a perfect example. She knew how to manipulate her way into your heart and then tear it apart behind your back. That realization stings more than anything else. I've also come to understand that revenge, while satisfying in the moment, doesn't really fix what's broken inside. I didn't do it just to hurt her. I did it because I needed to feel like I had some control again, like I wasn't completely powerless. But ultimately, what I really want now is to rebuild myself, to find a way to trust again, even if that feels nearly impossible. Right now, the whole experience has been a brutal lesson in human nature. People will lie, cheat, and manipulate without a second thought if they think they can get away with it. And sometimes, even the ones you love most will turn into strangers when it's convenient for them. I guess I was naive to believe she was different, that she was loyal, that she loved me. Turns out, she was just another selfish woman who thought she could have her cake and eat it too. I don't harbor hatred anymore. I think I just feel sorry for her. Sorry that she chose to throw away everything good we had for some fleeting thrill. Sorry that she's so empty inside she needs to manipulate others for validation. And honestly, I'm glad I found out before things got even worse. Better to know the truth and face the pain than sit around pretending everything's fine. What I've learned through all this is invaluable. Be careful about who you trust. Pay attention to the signs. When someone shows you who they truly are, believe them. Don't make excuses for their lies or dismiss the red flags, because one day you might wake up and realize all your trust was misplaced, and the person you loved was just pretending to be something she was. As for me, I'm slowly trying to piece myself back together. I'm focusing on my work, my real passion, my project on space habitats and artificial gravity. That's what made me happy before all this mess, and it's what I'll keep doing now. Someday, I'll meet someone who's worthy of my trust, someone who's honest and kind, who won't lie or cheat or manipulate. Until then, I'll hold on to my integrity and keep moving forward. This whole experience has been one hell of a wake-up call. I've lost a lot, but I've gained something too: clarity. And that clarity is going to guide me through the darkness. I know now that the only person I can really rely on is myself. And with that, I'll keep fighting, keep healing, and keep reminding myself that I deserve better. Because in the end, that's all that really matters. No one ever expects to find themselves in a situation like this. But when it happens, you learn quickly what you're truly made of. I've learned I'm stronger than I thought, even if I feel broken. Right now, one day I'll look back at this and see it as the chapter that finally made me realize my worth. And that, honestly, is the real victory.